Welcome to Consultier Inc. and Interlink IQ. To conduct a document review utilizing the Visitors Program under the SQF Module 11.3.4, first check if the document title matches the uploaded file name on the dashboard. In this instance, we do have the same titles as the Visitors Program. Next, both must have the same document code. For this example, we do have 11.3.4P0. Since this is a template, we indicate the PCQI as the account initials. However, we can customize the code based on the company's initials. For the page number, we use the page XFY format. Ensure that it reflects the current page position and the total page number of the document. Then insert the company logo here, together with the company name, the company address, and enter the designated department. For the originated by section, it can be the food safety, quality assurance, or the quality control personnel of the company. The originator ensures the implementation of the quality management and document control system. Enter the name of the originator, affix the signature, input the possession title, and the date originated. For the reviewed by section, it can be the personnel assigned in the Quality Management Department who reviews the drafted document or its revision for accuracy and implementation. Enter the name of the reviewer, affix the signature, input the possession title, and the date reviewed. For the approved by section, it must be the person in the C-level management who has approval authority. Enter the name of the approver, affix the signature, input the possession title, and the date approved. The revision date is the same as the date originated or drafted by the author. For the effective date, it is the date the document was signed and approved. The publication date is when the document is published for distribution and initiated personnel training. The implementation date is when the document is distributed and personnel training is completed. For the supersedes, put original for the initial issuance of the document. For any revisions, reflect the initial revision date before the current revision. Please be reminded that this section must be properly filled out to be compliant. Now we will focus on the components of the program. First is purpose. The purpose is the implementation of any certification standard or compliance with a regulatory requirement. For this program, it is for implementation with the SQF Module 11 Edition 9 for food manufacturing under Clause 11.3.4. First, to implement SQF 11.3.4.1, all visitors shall be trained in the site's food safety and hygiene procedures before entering any food processing and handling areas, or shall be escorted at all times in food processing, handling, and storage areas. Second, to implement SQF 11.3.4.2, all visitors, including management staff, shall be required to remove jewelry and other loose objects in accordance with the facility's good manufacturing practices and 11.3.3.8. All visitors shall wear suitable clothing and footwear when entering any food processing and handling area. Third, to implement SQF 11.3.4.3, visitors exhibiting visible signs of illness shall be prevented from entering areas in which food is handled and processed. And fourth, to implement SQF 11.3.4.4, visitors shall enter and exit food handling areas through the proper staff entrance points and comply with all hand washing and personal practice requirements. The second component of the program is scope. The scope of the program is based on the purpose and serves as a guide in defining and describing the layout of the procedure. It includes the policy, procedure, responsibility, corrective action, review QA, reference documents, and reference. Third is policy. The policies are the rules set by the company as their implementation guide. Under policy, first, a visitor is considered a non-employee of the company or site. Examples of visitors would be vendors, service providers, contractors, truck drivers, tours, and guests. Some sites may define visitors to include anyone who does not work in the site. Thus, corporate or sister plant personnel could be considered visitors. And second, visitors pose the same risk to product safety as site staff, and in some cases, a greater risk because they may not understand the operation or food hygiene requirements. Next is procedure. The procedure is the step-by-step process and the actual implementation of the policy. First, the requirements for visitors in our food manufacturing site follow exactly the same provisions as staff. Second, the company have specific good hygiene practices for visitors, contractors, and tourists. Have a means to communicate those expectations to visitors, contractors, and tourists, and monitor visitors, contractors, and tourists to ensure all visitors are in compliance with the company's good hygiene practices. Third, all visitors are suitably trained in hygiene policies prior to entering ingredient storage areas, processing, and packing areas. If this is not possible or feasible, for example, for short-term visits, visitors must be escorted while in processing, handling, and storage areas. Fourth, all visitors are required to wear clean clothing and footwear and must remove jewelry and other loose objects, including watches, that may fall into equipment. Fifth, visitors will enter and exit product packing and processing areas through designated staff entrance points and comply with all hand washing and personal requirements. Visitors are not permitted to handle any product or equipment. And sixth, visitors are required to sign in the visitor log and be accompanied at all times by a site employee for their personal safety and as well as the security of the product and process. They cannot be untrained or unsupervised. Next is responsibility. The responsibility of the person is indicated. It covers what to perform to comply with the procedure or the policy. For all personnel, shall adhere to this policy. For the food safety team lead, the PCQI or the SQF practitioner, visually inspect areas for compliance of this policy, oversee compliance of procedure, ensure personnel are trained on this policy and procedures, and monitor and take corrective action to ensure compliance of this policy. The supervisors or department heads and team leaders are responsible to ensure and verify this policy and procedure is adhered to, and take corrective action to ensure compliance of this policy. For the quality department, validate training and adherence to policy and procedure, and monitor and document nonconformance observation, also known as discrepancy, using corrective action, preventive action, or the CAPA report. And for the quality or compliance department, document control, records, and archive. Sixth is corrective action. The corrective action is the process of taking appropriate steps to eliminate causes of nonconformities or other undesirable situations. In the event of product, materials, or equipment contamination due to visitors' activities, train the key personnel involved in the implementation of the program, and review the procedures for effectiveness and revise if needed. Next is review quality. The review section serves as guidelines for conducting the annual or periodic review. The visitor policy is appropriate to the risk, product exposure, and processing conditions, and the type and number of visitors visiting the site. And the visitor policy is effectively implemented for contractors and visitors. Eighth is reference documents. The reference documents are the set of documents used to implement and monitor a program, policy, or procedure. It includes the visitor sign-in sheet, the visitor or contractor good manufacturing practices, and the visitor log. Ninth, references. The reference section is composed of guides utilized to implement the program. Examples are the certification guide, regulations, and other widely accepted scientific journals, research, and the like. It must comply with the standard format citation, which can be based on either MLA, APA, or the Chicago style, and update the access date. Lastly, history. The history section is where we can update the program if there are any changes or revisions made in the document. If there is a revision, enter the revision number, followed by the revision date, the description of the change made, then the name of the author or the originator, and the title or department of the author or the originator. Thank you for participating in this document review. Content presented are for training purposes only and are based on the interpretation of standards and best practices and must be customized for your intended use. To fully customize your programs, policies, procedures, forms for records, and lessons for training, you may contact Intralink IQ or Consult Here Inc. at services@intralinkiq.com or simply call 202-982-3002. For free access, visit intralinkIQ.com.